Child-focused emergency programming provided Save the Children an opportunity to build partnerships with community-based organizations, an opportunity to involve children directly in programs and community decisions. Save the Children tried to integrate children's rights in health, nutrition, early childhood development, psychosocial and child protection in the rehabilitation program in Kutch following large-scale destruction by January 26, 2001 earthquake. The film is about child-focused emergency response and rehabilitation. A powerful earthquake measuring 7.9 on the Richter scale struck Gujarat on 26 January 2001. The disaster affected a radius of 100 kilometers. Districts like Kutch, Rajkot, Jamnagar, Surendranagar and Patant were reduced to rubble in no time. The worst hit was Kutch. Of 19,988 reported deaths, 18,399 were in Kutch. Of 1,66,000 reported injured, 1,36,000 were from Kutch. On the whole, approximately 1,60,000 houses reduced to rubble, 20,000 cattle died, 7,633 villages destroyed, 900 kilometers of state roads and 1,254 kilometers of rural roads suffered heavy damage. More than 90,000 farmers lost their livelihood. Total damage to the economy was more than rupees 44,000 crores or rupees 440 million. Buildings collapsed, people lost their loved ones, communities got wiped out. The entire social fabric got disrupted.
जब धरती कपाया तो हम अंदर थे, हमारे गांव के लोगों ने हमको बाहर काटमार हटा के बाहर काटा। इसके बाद मुझे लगा था पैर में सील में और मैं यहाँ से पाटन के हॉस्पिटल में 15 दिन दाखिल हुआ था। उसके बाद मैं घर में भी रहा था, घर में भी 15 दिन बिस्तर पर ही रहा था। उसके बाद बहुत ठंड थी, जब हमारे कोई आवाज़ नहीं थी, हमने दो तीन महीने तो हमने टैंक में ही गुजारे।
छोकरो काढ्यो, પછી અમારા ડોકરાને કાઢ્યા અને હાવ અધમુઆ જેવા થઈ ગયા, હાવ ભાન ન કસાન માણસ બધા ભેરા થઈને કાઢી લીધા। પછી દવાખાનામાં ધોળમ પટી થી કેળો કેળ વર્તાઈ ગયો, ક્યાંય સાધન ન મળે, બધી જમીનું આમ થઈ ગઈ ઓલી, કોઈ ફાટ પડી ગયા, કોઈ મકાન ક્યાંય હાજર ન રહ્યા, કોઈની અકાઈયું ડટાઈ ગઈ, कोई पतो न जड़े, आवी गंभीर दशा थी गई मानसा।
मेरे को ले गए अस्पताल निकाल के, तो अस्पताल में ऐसे ही दूसरों लोग ने मुझे छोड़ दिया था, पटेल हॉस्पिटल में लेके गए थे। वहाँ कुछ डॉक्टर वॉक्टर कुछ नहीं था, ऐसे ही था, रोड पे ही ऐसे छोड़ दिया था। मेरे आजू बाजू लाशें ही थी और कोई पानी पिलाने वाला भी नहीं था।
Very soon, the international fraternity got their acts together. Save the Children UK arrived on January 27, 2001.
This has been a devastating earthquake. This has been a major earthquake where there were buildings here, but nobody wanted to go into them because they were afraid of aftershocks and tremors, and people assume, and rightfully so, that everything's been weakened and any more damage is going to bring it all down on you. And when so many people have died around you, you don't want to go into buildings, you know. And people still, I don't know about now, but for a long time, they didn't want to sleep in inside of a permanent structure.
The immediate objective of Save the Children was to ensure the survival of children, their families, by addressing their basic needs: food, health, shelter. Twofold policy was devised, and child-focused emergency programming became the most important aspect of it.
Well, our main focus has been two phases: the emergency phase and the rehabilitation phase. During the emergency phase, we worked with something like over 826, I think, ICDS temporary shelters that were in tents, and we provided cooking equipment and that sort of thing. So it was at that point, that was seen probably as both assistance for nutrition for children and psychosocial care for children. And so from that emergency phase, well, also in the emergency phase was also the need for shelters, and probably the most spectacular part of the program was our partnership with Abion and their network.
The most important aspect in Save the Children's intervention has been to involve community through partners, local partners. It collaborated with the state government and gave a new lease of life to Integrated Child Development Service, or ICDS. For 27 years, ICDS has been existing, but few understood it. The scenario changed after Save the Children's intervention. It took up the gauntlet and made community understand that ICDS is for their benefit, their goodwill.
ICDS thing, Integrated Child Development Services, it's a people's service. And if there is no demand from community and they don't have any access, then there's no point in just putting up infrastructure. And Save the Children is building the ICDS centers because it was requirement of an earthquake.
As a result of the earthquake, health and ICDS infrastructure sustained severe damage. Save the Children immediately initiated the process of rebuilding the lives and reconstructing the structures.
આંગણવાડીનું અમે આમ કામ કરી રહ્યા હતા, ત્યારબાદ અમારે 26મી જાન્યુઆરીનો ભૂકંપ આવેલો. તદ્દન નાશ પામેલા આંગણવાડીના મકાનો હતા અને બાળકોની કે અમારી કોઈ પણ પરિસ્થિતિ જ નહોતી. એવામાં અમને સેફ્ટી સિન્ડલવાળાની કંપની આવી અને હાથ ચાલીને અમને બધાને ઊંચા લઈ આવ્યા. ઊંચા લઈ આવી આંગણવાડીના મકાન બનાવવા માંડ્યા. તેમજ અમને જગ્યાઓ આપી. આંગણવાડીની અમારી ઓફિસ બનાવી દીધી. તેમ પછી અમને મુખ્ય સેવિકાઓને તાલીમ આપી. તેમજ વર્કર બેનને તાલીમ આપી. તેમજ હેલ્પરને, દાયણને, મહિલા મંડળને બધાય આ તાલીમ આપવાથી અમારા ગામડામાં બહુ જ સુધારો થયો.
Save the Children initiated and leads a working group comprising World Food Programme, UNICEF, Indian Red Cross and indigenous NGOs. Its main focus is in Rapar block. It lobbied with the government to let them reconstruct health centers and ICDS centers. The work is on in 115 permanent ICDS centers in Rapar Taluka. The international standards of earthquake-resistant structures are followed here.
We select a convenient place among a congregation of villages to serve at least 30,000 population. Main thing is accessibility to the population that we are serving through the PHC, and then the soil conditions, and then we have the criteria for sewage disposal, and then we have availability, access to the construction materials and the skilled labor.
દવાખાનું બહુ સારું કરે છે, ચણતર સારું થાય છે, કામકાજ બહુ સારું છે, કારીગરી બહુ સારી છે. અમને બહુ જ સારું કામ થઈ રહ્યું છે, સમજ્યા, અને બહુ મજબૂતી થાય છે.
ICDS program extends support to individual Anganwadi workers, supervisors, child development program officers and district-wise training. Health and integrated early childhood services with preschool activities and services for mothers are the goals of the ICDS program.
we are facilitating the process among the health and ICDS staff by which they understand each other's roles and responsibilities, and by which they understand about what is ICDS is for, what are the different components within ICDS, and what are their roles to fulfill those components of services within ICDS. And similarly, how this health structure can contribute or can support the ICDS system to deliver those services outlined in the, within ICDS program.
As ICDS itself does not have health service structure, it has to come from the government health system, that is primary health centers and sub-health centers. A great task when it comes to lobbying with the government, but persistence pays.
हमारा गांव ने तो एक जबरदस्त फायदा हो गई जबरदस्त એટલે એક ગામની દ્રષ્ટિએ કેટલી પણ દવાખાનાની સારવાર અપૂરતી મળવાને કારણે કેટલા મરણ પામ્યા છે આ હોસ્પિટલ થયા પછી અમને એવું દેખાય છે કે હવે અમારે અહીંયા સ્ટાફ પણ સારો રહેશે અને 15 ગામોને લાભ આ હોસ્પિટલ થઈ રહેશે અને આવી હોસ્પિટલ અમારા ગામને જાવે બની છે એ અમારા માટે બહુ ધન્યવાદનું કામ છે.
Training Anganwadi workers is an important component of IS, along with community mobilization, construction of Anganwadis and health centers.
The main objective of this is to enhance the integrated, coordinated team approach within health and ICDS system for this service, for better services for women, children, and the community.
Joint training program is organized in collaboration with the local partners targeting women and children. Though organized in entire Gujarat state, Save the Children's focus area is Rapar Taluka. Through these training programs, women and children are enlightened about health and their rights. It is a residential training program.
જે આ તાલીમમાં ગયા હતા એ તાલીમ વિશે અમને જાણવા બહુ મળ્યું છોકરા વિશે કોઈ રસી વિશે કોઈ સગર્ભા વિશે કોઈ રોગ વિશે સગર્ભા બેના રોગ વિશે એ બધું અમને ખૂબ જાણવા મળ્યું
એ વિશે જાણ્યું સગર્ભા ધાત્રી વિશે જાણ્યું બાળકો વિશે જાણ્યું માલાજા ગોરી વિશે જાણ્યું નિરોધ વિશે જાણ્યું એવું બધું નવી નવી પ્રવૃત્તિ જાણી એટલે અમે અહીંયાને શિક્ષા દઈએ કે આવી રીતે તમારે હલવાનું નબળી આમ કોઈ હિસ્ટ્રી હોય અને આપણે એમ કહીએ કે તમે જો પ્રસૂતિમાં એવું નબળું હોય તો એમ કહીએ કે તમે દવાખાને તમારે બતાવવાનું ધનોન વિરોધી રસી લેવાની બાળકોને રસી લેવડાવવાની એવું બધું શીખવું.
The training program for ICDS workers is designed to touch the lives of 7,000 ICDS workers. It is carried out with local partners, Yuva, Gram Swaraj Sangh or GSS, Samarth and community at large. Training Anganwadi workers is not an easy task. Often, novel training methods have to be devised.
During this joint training, as I said, with ICDS workers and health workers, we have had problems like the work in the level 2 training where the TBAs and Anganwadi helpers were coming, village women from Panchayat. Many times they were not literate, they couldn't write. And that was the time when we couldn't use our charts and markers and blackboards to teach them or impart any knowledge. So we have had some role plays and songs and discussions with them, and they came out with their own experiences in these songs and role plays instead of just putting them down on a chart or writing it down.
The program has been largely appreciated. Officers and supervisors from other organizations have also attended these training programs.
आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर जो पहले बहुत अच्छी तरह से बिहेवियर नहीं था, जैसे हम जाते थे तो सभी लोग ऐसा बोलते सभी एनजीओ आती है और हमें कुछ न कुछ बोल के चली जाती, कुछ करते नहीं है।
लेकिन यहाँ आने के बाद उसे पता चला है कि आंगनवाड़ी में ये सब होता है, इन सब लोगों को पता है, तो हमें ये काम करना चाहिए। अगर कोई भी होता है तो बोल देती है कि अगर ये हमारा कुछ नहीं समझते ये लोग, तो आप जाके सुपरवाइजर को बोलिए कि यहाँ पे कैसा करना चाहिए।
ICD is a wonderful project, but unfortunately you will find that pathetic situation here. Not a single Anganwadi center is working here properly. So we realized that the first need is to create the awareness among community so they can give the value to the service. After that they can understand the significance of the service, so, eventually empower the community.
Save the Children believes that children have a lot of potentiality and it is they who can bring about real change.
Children are the important members of the community. So the participation of the community cannot happen without children being part of that process. So these children will also be part of the community, mechanism to participate in the management of the ICDS system.
Save the Children is supporting children's groups in Rapar and empowering them to develop and take messages into the community through children-led awareness campaigns. This project was initiated in January 2002 in Rapar Taluka with local partners Yuva, Samarth and GSS. Under this program, children are taught about child rights, gender, children's health, nutrition, government health care, ICDS system. CTC training has made children aware of their rights and they in turn go and teach other children and members of the community. It's like passing a baton of knowledge.
CTC માં પહેલે 4 દિવસની તાલીમ હતી. અધિકારો વિશે શીખ્યા. તેમાં મુખ્ય 4 અધિકારો છે કે ભાગીદારીનો અધિકાર, વિકાસનો અધિકાર, જીવવાનો અધિકાર, संरक्षण अधिकार।
सीटीसी में अपने बच्चों के अधिकार और आंगनवाड़ी के कुछ लोग नहीं आते बच्चे, उसे भेजना मेरा काम है।
पहले हम हमारे दोस्त होते हैं जो कार्यक्रम में जुड़े उनको सिखाते हैं, बाद में वो अपने भाई को या दोस्तों को सिखाता है, इसके अलावा वो दूसरे दोस्तों को सिखाए, इस तरह ये आगे बढ़ता जाता है।
कोई भी काम हो तो पहले मैं करता और सबको पता था कि ऐसे ऐसे करना चाहिए।
CTC has brought about all-round change. It has made children and villagers aware of their rights.
CTC के बारे में बताऊं तो बहुत ज़्यादा मुझे अच्छा भी लग रहा है कि जो काम ये CTC का है चाइल्ड टू चाइल्ड का, तो बच्चे बहुत खुश है, कुछ सीख रहे हैं ऐसा मुझे लग रहा है। कुछ उनमें चेंज भी आया है बच्चों में।
CTC से गांव में तो बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन 25% लड़कों में जागरूकता आई है।
Community mobilization and partnership, the two most important facets of initiating movement. It realized that participation of the community in planning and implementation will give people an added sense of owning the program.
It all involves sensitizing the community about the need to kind of address these particular issues. Those who are still their children, and since also the government had basically discouraged the adoption of children outside the state itself, the community had to take responsibility for that. And that's how we came up with trying to sensitize the community to appreciate the value of taking care of those particular children.
Each country and each group has to learn for themselves about how deeply they feel that the community can make changes. And I mean, when they truly integrate that into their own programs and their own self in dealing with the women in the communities or the children in the communities, that's to the extent that it really begins to work.
With the prime concern being children, their rights and needs and community mobilization, involvement of children became imperative. Hence, focus group methodology was used in community mobilization to draw out ideas from children on particular aspects of community involvement.
Focus group is a technique of collecting information, and basically we have concentrated on the children's, that how we can collect information from children and what they think about the Anganwadis.
Focus group discussions and feedback from children influence the early planning of their programs and methodology. Children act as the bridge between the facilitator and the community. Their participation is encouraged and their views are given due importance. Their suggestions are promptly incorporated.
Many things like a separate toilet for girls and boys that came out, 2 rooms, one for the activity and other for the kitchen, a storeroom, whatever is required. And the previous design was something different. It was a 1 room and they have to do everything in that 1 room, all the activities, some camps, the scheduled activity which are supposed to take place in the Anganwadi center.
Committed to the needs of the children, Save the Children developed child-focused special project program. Child-focused special projects are one-off grants to child-focused initiatives from community-based organizations. The aim is to fill gaps and respond to identified needs of the communities, particularly children. Special project work with vulnerable groups as a way of reintegrating excluded children into mainstream educational activities.
These are special because Save the Children conceived the fact that only the conventional rehabilitation will not meet the unmet needs of the earthquake affected community. Hence, it has been designed in the way focusing the children in mind. And other important thing is that it aims at strengthening the local community as well as the local organization, so that it could make a sustainable impact in the community.
The types of child-focused special projects supported are Formal Mainstream Educational Institute, SSVM School in Anjar, a school for children with disabilities and other special needs, Dhanvantri School in Bhuj, Bal Sampark Activity Centers for children in and around Bhuj with Friends of All, preschool services targeting children of migrant labourers and earthquake-affected children in slum areas with Gyan Jyot Trust in Bhuj and Anjar Talukas, support for Children's Development Program MARC in Bhuj and Rapar Talukas, and rebuilding Balwadi centers for family and child welfare project around Bhuj.
हुआ तो स्कूल का मकान टोटली लॉस हो गया। अच्छा हुआ कि तब स्कूल बंद थी, क्योंकि 26 जनवरी थी, वरना स्कूल में शायद नहीं हो तो 150 के 200 लड़के मर जाते सब।
When earthquake happened, I wasn't here, and when I came, I realized so many of our children might have been affected because it's so difficult to remove a handicapped child in emergency.
भूकंप के बाद हम बालवाड़ी को बच्चों को बैठाने के लिए हमें तो बहुत ही परेशानी थी। बच्चों को कहाँ बैठाएंगे, कहाँ प्रवृत्ति कराएंगे, वो हमको बहुत ही परेशानी थी। लेकिन जब भी सेव द चिल्ड्रन हमारे ऑफिस के परिचय में आए, तभी वो उनको साथ सहकार से हमारे सुपर गांव में अच्छी तरह से बालवाड़ी का मकान बनाने में जो सहयोग दिया, वो उसी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
The child-focused special projects have been used to fill gaps in the recovery phase programs. Save the Children has provided organizations with educational aids or with semi-permanent structures.
The day Save the Children dispensed the hearing aids, that has been the happiest days for the people who had been there. The joy you saw on the faces of the children, it was like a second life given, released to them on that day.
At the activity centers and the Balwadi centers, children are given training in painting, toy making, handicrafts, reading, writing and storytelling. And all this has been made possible with the partner organizations and community participation. The association is carried out on an intensive one-to-one basis.
The important factor is that in any of the project, if the community is mobilized properly and they are participating properly, that project can be sustainable and that can leave a long-term impact on the community. So for mobilizing the community, our partners, the local organization, are taking various steps to work with the community, to influence the community, to understand the community and to work with the community.
Partnering from the very beginning in this program has meant that we try to add to the program, add to the partnership from Save the Children's side, equally to what is being added from the partner side. We don't treat it as a subcontractor.
Partnership in these activity centers is indeed a very sensitive issue, particularly so as at some places most of the children are of migrant laborers.
हाँ, माइग्रेंट लेबर्स के हैं ज़्यादातर बच्चे हैं। पहले ऐसे था कि वो माता पिता के साथ मजदूरी के लिए साथ में ही चले जाते थे। अब ऐसे है कि बच्चों को लिए यहाँ पे हैं तो माता पिता भी छोड़ के जाते हैं और बच्चे अब जब यहाँ पे मिलजुल गए हैं तो माता पिता चले जाते हैं तो वहाँ से दूर भी अगर जाते हैं तो वहाँ से नज़दीक से आ जाते हैं।
जब तक यहाँ पर काम चलता है तब तक ये लोग यहाँ रहते हैं, काम खत्म होते ही वो दूसरी जगह चले जाते हैं।
With the main focus area being children, Save the Children devise policies preserving and protecting rights of the children. Child protection aims at empowering the communities on dealing with the issues of child protection and child rights.
Child protection laws and child protection as such, very few people are aware. I mean, these are things, these are abuses that happens on a day-to-day basis, but not many of us are aware, not many adults are aware, not many children are aware. So child protection issues and then the mechanisms there are to protect children. For example, Juvenile Justice Act, which is the most comprehensive law in the country, which talks about protecting children. Very few people know about, very few people in the systems know about.
Advocacy and policy dialogue form an integral component of the initiative. Regular workshops and meetings are held highlighting the sensitive issues of child rights.
पहले हम ये अधिकार नहीं जानते थे, हमको कुछ पता नहीं था कि हम क्या करना चाहिए इसे। अब हमको पता चला कि अधिकार से हमें पुलिस का रक्षण मिल सकता है, जैसे समाज से रक्षण मिल सकता है। इस तरह हमको जो कुछ मुसीबत आई हो जिससे हमें काम मिलता हो उसके पास हम दौड़ के चले जाते हैं अधिकार।
There is a lot of focus on rural outreach, particularly reaching out to children in remotest parts. The emphasis is to aid the child in distress and to make people, particularly children, aware of child protection and child rights. Save the Children initiated a movement for the promotion of child rights at a regional and state level by spearheading Child Protection Sectoral Coordination Group in Kutch, facilitating and supporting Bal Muskan project, participating in the review meetings of Juvenile Justice Act, providing support in training partners and ICDS workers on child rights and child protection, and by initiating Child Line, an emergency telephone and outreach response network for children in distress.
The support to Child Line in Kutch is quite different from the Child Line elsewhere. Here there's a lot of focus on rural outreach. I mean, normally, obviously, there are no telephones available in all these villages, so you can't expect people to be calling up and for you to respond. So there has to be a mechanism for reaching out to people. So support to Child Line in Kutch meant that we support the rural outreach component. So we have provided them with the number of staff required, the vehicles required, the conveyance allowance, and
community participation, active involvement of children and partnership with local NGOs in all the programs hasn't been an easy task. Intervention in a scenario colored by caste, class, religion often meant touching a raw nerve of the communities.
Sometimes it may happen, I would like to say, in one village, Gedi, when we went to finalize the site, just we started to measure the plot, and one villager came and he told, no, this is my plot. Why did you start to work, and who told you to carry out the work for the same? So we convince them that this is for the Anganwadi is basically for what? This is for own the villagers as well as this the children for their children. This is not this as organization is not constructing for their own purpose.
We have had so many successes, like people have donated their land free of cost, and many problems also, as you said, we have faced, like our team members were chased with knives in some villages, and in one village we had to wait for permission from the goddess.
Once a partner has been selected, every effort is made to infuse confidence in them.
We don't just set them out there, give them money, and then come back and be the policeman to monitor them to see if they've done it right or not. Help them along and work with them.
सपोर्ट मिल रहा है. कभी भी हमको कहीं भी गांव में मुश्किल या परेशानियां ये सब कुछ आती है तो हम तुरंत ही सेव द चिल्ड्रन में जाके बताते हम आगे क्या कर रहे, हमको ये परेशानी आती है. तो उसने वो लोग सेव द चिल्ड्रन के कोई भी स्टाफ में से आके हमको तुरंत ही हमारे साथ चल के वो सॉल्यूशन निकालते हैं. अभी तो बहुत अच्छा सेव द चिल्ड्रन का रहा है हमारे साथ.
I must say it's active partnership, not only is limited to the giving fund. No, they are really very active in our program meeting, fortnightly program meeting. From the Save the Children also used to come staff here in the meeting, sit with us in a very friendly manner. Not here is the thing that you are implementing organization, one is funding organization, you have to like not policing, not monitoring outside monitoring. We are working as friend, as a good partner in good spirit.
Truly trusting the partner and involving community participation at every step has given a post-dated check of sustainability to the partners. It has made Save the Children so very different from other organizations and has put a stamp of success on Save the Children's programs.
The success comes from a variety of different sources or reasons. We were partly it's the energy and the motivation that the organisation in all of its different parts had towards the intervention both in the immediate relief operation but also the rehabilitation work. So a great sense of support. The team in the field felt supported by the country programme office in Delhi and other offices in India. We in turn felt well supported by our colleagues in London and at a regional level. So a great sense of a shared vision, a shared sense of purpose and direction, and people helping each other. The other reason for success, I think, is that we have been able to work with some exceptional partners on the ground who were able to provide us with important advice and knowledge and guidance, and their partnerships have been fundamental in the success of the programme.
The involvement of community and its active participation is the yardstick for a program's success and its sustainability. But to sustain and to support each program till it becomes self-sustainable, finance is needed. And finance allocation is, no doubt, the most tricky part.
Each program officer and our program wing is well aware of whatever money we have, and periodically we sit together, the senior management team, and we review the budgets and the expenditures, and accordingly we plan our activities.
It handled the delicate situation effectively.
This has been a huge programme for Save the Children, certainly as far as the India programme is concerned, and in many respects globally as well. It has won the support of all parts of the organisation, and I think as we're coming to the close of the rehabilitation work, everyone involved in this process so far should feel very proud of what's been achieved. We've made a lasting impact in the communities in which we have worked, We have laid the basis for some really exciting work in the future in partnership with government and NGOs. I see it as an experience that has demonstrated some tremendous successes and has been a source of learning for the organisation, not just for India, but all over the world. And we are keen to share that learning across the organisation and beyond.
During the emergency phase and the rehabilitative phase, Save the Children built up community partnerships and initiated child-focused emergency programming. It extended support and constructed buildings, Anganwadis and health centers even at far-off places.
अभी आंगनवाड़ी बन रही है, वो सेव द चिल्ड्रन की ओर से बन रही है। उसके अंदर बच्चे और औरतों के लिए सुविधा रहेगी, पढ़ेंगे और जाएंगे।
Kutch is a disaster-prone area. The main responsibility and challenge has been to intervene, rehabilitate, and to ensure sustainability of projects and to secure the future of people and communities.
What we've been working on is a long-term plan for the ICDS program, how we're going to work with the government and how we're going to integrate our partners into the whole program and continue their community mobilization. That after the construction is completed, the construction has been a huge effort for us in the rehabilitation phase, but it's really just a shell unless we use it and we integrate continue all of the things that we've been doing in our training program. So we need to take now what we've taught in our workshops and what's developed out of the workshops and monitor that and implement that basically in a long-term way.
The children is planning to keep existence in Gujarat for more years with government of Gujarat. The main intervention will be in ICDS program.
We will be working closely in ones which are the settlements along the run of Kutch, and these have very poor infrastructure. People generally belong to marginalized socioeconomic groups, so we will be working closely with them in next couple of years.
Save the Children's intervention has become a model for future responses, setting up cost-effective bungas, encouraging community participation, ensuring involvement of children from conceptualizing till the implementation stage has enabled Save the Children to successfully reach out to the unreachable people and places.
We saw the importance of Save the Children in being able to reach out to the people who were otherwise unreachable. So in the same way as we had our special projects program within the rehabilitation work in Gujarat, which was focusing on providing support to NGOs that were not being reached by other agencies. We were also geographically wanting to reach out to communities that weren't going to be reached by the mainstream interventions during that period.
Staying away from family and friends in bungas, Gujarat is lucky to have Save the Children, which thinks about the community, about the children, about the women, and despite all the hurdles has in its own little way attempted to knit the torn social fabric, to provide inner strength to the wounded, hurt, psychologically weak and marginalized inhabitants of Kutch. We respectfully appreciate the courage and the strength of the people of Kutch, their tenacity and willingness to learn from and overcome this tragic event has been the inspiration for this film.